Well, hey, I wanted to tell you all about the when COVID hit, and I had my special ed. At the time it was called severe mod. They changed the name to something else, some other politically correct thing, whatever. But at the time it was, it was me and 8, 9 kids who were they were nonverbal. I was not nonverbal, nor am I today nonverbal, but they were severely autistic children. And then COVID hit, and the schools shut down, and all the schools in California shut down, I believe. And I asked if naively I asked, oh, can I just keep teaching because these kids, they need me, and I mean, as if the other, millions of school children didn't need their teachers in California, but and I was told no, that I had to just teach online, so like Zoom with children who are nonverbal, it was just nonsensical. It was a non. So I would Zoom with parents, you know, I'd say, "How's it going? Everything all right?" Because my title, it wasn't just teacher. It was case manager. Like I was a social worker, which I'm not a social worker. I never trained to be a social worker. I never trained to be a fucking special ed teacher neither. But so what I no, I'm in the ghetto. I'm in the fucking ghetto. I mean, it doesn't get more. Maybe there's some places in New Jersey that are worse than where I was working and living and teaching. But so I would drive to my students' apartments, and oftentimes, I'd knock on the door, and they were too ashamed. Some of the parents, they were too ashamed to let me in to see their child, to check on their health and welfare, as it were, And then sometimes I'd get let in, and I would see things like, oh, well, this is so and so's special room, like it's like padded walls and shit. This is where we put him when he goes insane and starts to try to beat us up. Things like that. And it was hard. It was hard to not have those kids in my classroom because they needed to be there, and the parents needed those kids to be there for 8 hours a day. To give them a break, to be able to work, to do what they had to do. And it wasn't my choice at all. And I'm not anti-vax. I've been vaxxed 7 to 8 times. I just I didn't think that I would die having my children, my students with me, every day. But it was rough. It was rough. It was on many different levels. It was really rough, and they talk about the kids during COVID kids having lower standardized testing scores than the kids prior to COVID or whatever. And I mean, my kids were nonverbal. There was no testing. Well, there was testing, but it was it wasn't. Yeah. Anyways, I'll never forget that. I felt the worst for the parents, who couldn't get a fucking break from these kids. Because when the kids were with me, apart from a few incidences of, spitting, shoe throwing, some violence, some hitting, some whatever, they were good. they were good because they knew that I'm in a place, I'm at school, and I need to behave, and and I like Mr. Reed, and I like Lil D, Mr. Reed's paraprofessional, and no, it was just it was a very strange time, and to collect a check for doing really nothing. I mean, I didn't do shit, and that felt like a con, like a total fucking con. I mean, you know, if I get paid, I want to do something. You know, and I didn't do shit. I didn't. I went to go, visit these kids once in a while in the ghetto and drive back home, and it was a very odd time, and I think, in retrospect, I think it was unnecessary to close the schools, especially the special ed classrooms. But you couldn't have special ed open and the rest of the school closed or whatever. I mean, I get it, I understand, but it was they were overly cautious in California, I think. And like I said, I'm not a conspiracy person, or it's just unfortunate that for a year I didn't get to see my children. I mean, I got to see them, once in a while. I would, you know, go visit them and see them on Zoom calls, whatever. And they're like, "Hi," fucking, you know. But really, I guess what I try to do is try to comfort the parents, to try to give them some kind of solace or something. But it was very unsatisfying year, the year that the California schools closed. Unsatisfying for everybody. And history is going to tell whether or not it was a good idea or not. But I think history's already made up his mind. And I don't think it was a good idea. Anyways, I love you all, and go out and make the world a better place today. Right on.